Hi, and a very warm welcome from me, Phil Parker, and over there, Helen. Say hi, Helen.
Hello there.
We're practitioners from the Lightning Process team in London, and we're covering some questions that often get asked us. And today, the question that Helen has been asked a lot this week, and over the period of months, and so have I, is about sleep. Sleep being obviously a really important thing, we all know that. And also, if anyone's had any kids or done night shifts or had motorway traffic or building works next to them, they'll know that if you don't sleep, it's disastrous. It's exhausting. It damages your health. People who are on shifts, which have night shifts and strange shifts, have a reduced lifespan. It's really not very good for you. It becomes very difficult to concentrate if you can't sleep. It's very restorative, it helps your immune system boost and so on and so forth. It's very good for your nervous system. So we're going to talk about sleep. Sleep in terms of, anyone getting to sleep, but also particularly fatigue issues, stress issues. So Helen, what's the commonest question you get asked about sleep?
The commonest thing is people, when they try to sleep, then their thoughts start wandering to everything that's worrying them, all of the problems that are going on, everything that's really not conducive to a great night's sleep starts off. And the problem is the more they try to get to sleep and the more they try harder, the faster and faster and louder this voice gets. So I think that's usually the main one is how can they just quieten that in order to just drift off and have a good night's sleep.
And the physiology of this is quite interesting in that we have our nervous system, which is volitional, so the things we're in charge of, like I choose to pick up these post-it notes, I'm choosing to do that. And then there's the unconscious or autonomic part of our nervous system, which is like swallowing, sweating, changing your heart rate, and of course sleep falls into that part of the system. And that's one of the intriguing things about it. It's something we all do, but most people have no idea how you do it because it's an unconscious response. It's kind of weird. That part of the nervous system has two parts, which Helen will know all about. One is the sympathetic, which is the part that's very, very busy. I don't know why it's called sympathetic. There's nothing very sympathetic about it, but it's very, very busy. Its job is to deal with threats, and it keeps us alert, keeps us looking for danger, gets our body ready to run, changes our physiology in all sorts of interesting ways, and suppresses our immune system if we do too much of it. Then we've got the other bit, which is the lovely, floaty, parasympathetic, and this does exactly the opposite. Its job is to calm us down, to make us feel relaxed, to feel safe, to heal, to digest, all those kind of things, and of course, to sleep. And this is the problem you're talking about. If you get stressed about not sleeping, which is kind of a reasonable thing to do, it wakes up this part of our brain, which is not the part that does all the lovely sleepy bits. And so that's one of the things we've got to do is find a way to stop this and encourage that if we want to sleep. Other questions people have about sleep, particularly around fatigue you were talking about?
Yeah, I think a lot of our clients, especially those with fatigue issues, can sleep forever. They can sleep for hours and hours and hours and hours, but they wake up feeling as rubbish as when they went to bed, which again, they're not getting that lovely restorative sleep. It's just very, very fatiguing.
And it kind of tricks them into thinking that they need more sleep, because that's what you'd think, I don't feel rested after that sleep, I must need some more sleep. But of course the problem is when they're sleeping, they're not getting the parasympathetic restorative sleep, they're getting the disturbed sleeps, and it's one of the very key diagnostic symptoms of chronic fatigue and ME is unrefreshing, unreplenishing sleep, along with post-exertional malaise. But it's a very, very common symptom that you get with lots of people. So what to do? What to do about it, Helen? What should we do about not sleeping?
I think the first thing is to look at your sleep routine and try and get it into some sort of balance.
Yeah, so you're talking about routines, which is good, and of course there's another problem with sleep, isn't it, which is not just getting off to sleep, but waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep. So with that, routines are a little bit more tricky. So what do you recommend for people who wake up and go, I can't get back to sleep?
I think first and foremost is trying to quieten and calm yourself down as much as possible. So you can do some things like some deep breathing exercises where you focus your attention on your breathing as opposed to whatever else is going on, and that will really help to calm everything down. I think that's the first thing that you could do. That's a very simple technique.
The other thing, of course, again, is when people wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. It's like exactly what happens when people can't get back to sleep to start with when they go to bed, in that you lie awake at night, you've woken up at 3, and you're like, oh, this is so annoying, I'm awake, I've got to get back to sleep, I need to get back to sleep, because if I don't, I'm going to be stressed and tired the next day, and then they start thinking about all the problems that will come, and once again we get into this busy part of our sympathetic nervous system, which produces adrenaline, which keeps us awake. That's what, so if you're a long distance lorry driver or you're a soldier, you'll take stuff, back in the days to take amphetamines. That's what it was designed for, to keep people awake, to keep them going, because it speeds up your parasympathetic nervous system. But of course that way of talking and worrying is not conducive. So years ago I read a book, and I adopted an exercise from this book about how you deal with those thoughts. You talked about repetitive thoughts, to-do lists, very, very common. Part of the problem is in the stillness that we have when we're trying to get to sleep, it's like our brain goes, oh, hold on a minute, and these are the things you haven't thought about during the busy day, and starts to reel off this list of undone jobs. And so it's kind of getting an opportunity to spring into action. So one of the things suggested is keep a piece of paper and pen, or a phone by your bed if you want, and write these things down, because one of the things that often keeps us awake is us going, oh God, I mustn't forget this tomorrow, I must remember to do that, and oh, what if I do forget? And we run into those kind of patterns. So just writing it down is a good start. The other one is this nice little meditation, which I'll guide you through very briefly now. If you're driving a car whilst watching this video, don't do that, because you shouldn't be watching a video whilst you're driving a car. If you're hearing it on a podcast, turn it off, because this might be a bit sleepifying. Okay, so be careful, take care of yourselves. But basically what you do is you imagine a tiny little elephant just here with little wings on it, right? And the elephant has a post-it note, much like one of these post-it notes, and on the post-it note it has the name of the thing you're worrying about. And you watch the elephant and see it flaps his wings and very gently flies off into the distance, receding until he's a tiny dot, and then finally disappears over the horizon. Once he's gone, then you imagine the next elephant appearing with his little wings just in front of you, and another post-it note with the name of the next thing that you've been bothered by, and you just let that drift far and far away until you've cleared out all of the stable that you have. And just by doing that, we'll not only kind of order these things which often kind of fly around confusing us, but also make you feel more calm and more relaxed. So that's a really simple, effective way of just decluttering your mind, which is one of the things that often obstructs. And obstruct is a good word, because the thing to remember about sleep is it's normal. In fact, everybody does sleep. You don't find people, unless they're needing to do it for their job, who don't sleep at some point in the 24-hour cycle. People do sleep. What we've got to do is find out what's getting in the way, and then sleep becomes much more easy. And one of the core things that gets in the way is worrying about how tired you're going to be the next day. Well, actually, if you can lie in bed not sleeping like you want to, and be at peace with it, and find a way to be deeply calm with it, then it will have the same effect as if you were sleeping. Clearly we need sleep, but a good option is, if you aren't sleeping, to be calm and relaxed, because that will replenish your batteries and encourage the sympathetic nervous system around the busy sympathetic one. Any other tips you can think of, Helen?
I think a great way to be calm and relaxed is to take yourself off to somewhere that you find amazingly relaxing. Maybe a holiday, or floating in a pool, or whatever it is for you that is incredibly relaxing. And just allow yourself to be in that memory. Just really take yourself there and enjoy every aspect of it, and enjoy the fact that your body's relaxing. And as Phil says, that's just as restorative, and that would hopefully help you to just drift off into a nice peaceful sleep anyway.
And when you drift off, because as we said earlier, falling asleep is one of the things nobody quite knows how we do it, because we fall asleep during the process. But we do know that getting yourself into a calm space is more like to encourage that shift into the parasympathetic sleepy system. So everything you can do that brings you into a calm state. And as I've talked about on a number of my other podcasts and Facebook videos, one of the most important things, and me and Helen were talking about this before we started, is the speed of your voice. And you might hear as I'm talking that my voice is starting to become slower and deeper and just more flowing. And what happens is we have these things called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are very good at spotting what other people are doing. So if we're around calm people, we'll tend to feel more calm. If we're around stressed people, we'll tend to feel more stressed. If we're around ourselves and we're stressed, we'll tend to get ourselves stressed in our kind of internal conversation too. So the more you start to calm your voice down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of guided meditation just for a couple of minutes. Again, if you're operating a car or dangerous machinery, if it's not safe to do it, then just save this for later. But if it's a good time to relax, then just think about exactly what Helen said. Taking yourself to a time when you were really relaxed. And I don't know, as you take yourself back, where you'll go to. But what I'd like you to do as you go back, and Helen wants to try and desperately not to close her eyes here and drift off. Feel free, Helen, if you want to. Is just to listen to the sound of my voice for two reasons. One is, as I talk, it will help you to go into that relaxed state, and this is because I'm good at this, good at meditation, visualization and hypnosis. The second thing is, I'd like you to listen to my voice so that when you help yourself to relax, you can learn how to slow your voice down. So you don't want to say, I'm going to take myself to a beach and I'm lying on the beach and the sun's really warm, because that, of course, will not relax you. What you need to do instead is say, I'm going to take myself now, be really just enjoying the feelings of being in this special place, noticing what it feels like, temperature, the sensations, and enjoying those feelings, noticing what's near and what's further away, any silences or sounds or aromas or scents, and just that gentle, general feeling of everything just feeling like it can shift down a gear, calm, slowing. And as you do that, just notice how your body starts to shift. Your breathing relaxes, your mind starts to still and become quieter. Imagine a metaphor for this. So some people think of it like if you have a muddy puddle, kids have been jumping in. It all gets churned up, but after a while, when the kids stop jumping, then the silt and the mud just flowed down to the bottom, leaving a clear, cool, still body of water on the surface. Now, if you like the sound of that, you can listen to this as many times as you want, or there are some stuff on our website, philparker.org, where you can get me talking you through how to relax, how to de-sleep, get to de-sleep, how to de-stress. Or of course, if you've done the lightning process, you may be familiar with some of these mechanisms for how you shift from sympathetic into parasympathetic, how you shift your body. If you want to know more about this stuff, as I go to the websites, it's not just the lightning process. You can go to mindfulness sites, you can go to meditative sites. Although we do great versions of it, of course we do. But there are many ways you can get yourself into this place. Another great thing is just walking in nature. Actually, it's very, very healthy for you to kind of get in touch with that, calm things down. As long as when you're in nature, you're not thinking, oh, I really should be at work, and start stressing about it. Anything you'd like to add, Helen, before we finish?
One of my clients actually did this. They recorded themselves taking themselves on that journey very calmly and very slowly, and they used to play that to themselves at night. So, if you want to do that, that's a really nice way of doing it as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing nowadays, I mean, most people in the world have one of these kind of things, an iPhone or some kind of phone. Every one of them has a voice memo, a voice recorder on it, which is pretty good quality. If you just talk slowly, make sure you're doing it slowly. You can replay it backwards, when you're in bed quite easily, and that will really help you to just learn how to switch off this cheeky, difficult sympathetic nervous system. Don't get switched off all the time. There are times when it's good to be alert, and there's also times when it's good to relax, even if the telephone rings. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. So if you want more stuff, there's some free stuff on the website. If you go to philparker.org or lightningprocess.co.uk, some podcasts, and there's also some longer stuff that you can purchase, but it's pretty easy to use, and I think you'll find it really useful. Again, if you have more questions or comment, pop them down. If it's YouTube and you can see someone's put comments on Facebook, put it down there, or just send us an email, info@philparker.org. We'd love to hear your questions so we can make these as interactive as possible. Thanks for your time, Helen, and you guys for listening. You take care of yourselves. Bye now.
Bye.